Hi, everyone, and welcome to a special episode of Ask the Pediatricians Hour. And today we are actually going to be live, so which means you can actually send your questions to us now, and it will be transmitted live. And I'm going to so today is about having live question and answer on ATP hours. So if you have any question, feel free to post. I'm going to be live on our Facebook pages and YouTube channel, and I'm also going to be live on the Fresh Waves Radio Instagram. So I'm waiting to connect to that. Uh, so while doing that, I'm just going to start sharing the videos. So I'm waiting to be connected to the Instagram for Fresh Waves. So let me just share this on our Facebook pages. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. If you have your questions, start dropping them. All right. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I'm just trying to see whether Fresh Waves has gone live. Good morning. Welcome to ATP Hour. I'm just sharing the videos to all the various platforms. And if you have any questions, please drop your questions. We are going to be taking them live. And I'm also going to be live on the Fresh Waves Instagram page. But I'm just waiting for them to add me. Okay. Okay, I think I'll share to all our various platforms, and then I'm just waiting for Fresh Waves Radio to go live. All right. But for those on Facebook, on Instagram, you can just drop your questions and then I will start to take them. while we're waiting to join Fresh Waves Radio. Okay. I don't know what is happening with Fresh Christopher. All right. I think we can start taking the questions. I'm not sure what is happening to the Fresh Waves Radio Instagram going live. I'll try and connect with them. But I think I'll just go continue with the one I'm doing right now. Okay. Okay, if I can't see the Fresh Waves going live, I think I'll just go live on the Ask the Pediatricians own page, and then we can just go ahead with that. And I'll try and have the Fresh Waves people to it. Okay, I think. All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to fresh episode of Ask the Pediatricians Hour. I hope you can hear me loud and clear. Welcome to ATP Live. Today, ATP Hour is supposed to be a live session. So, which means all I'm going to do is just to take your questions and answer. And I think I'm just going to go live. Okay, Fresh Race finally started, and I can join them. Okay, good morning, Fresh Waves Radio. Are you with us now? Good morning.
Yes, live audience on the radio station. We are saying you're welcome. And we are glad to have you here, Mrs. Dr. Mrs. Binsula. Thank you. Always, all those moments of children's health, it has always been an amazing time with great feedbacks. And we are also happy to have this live session with you on Instagram.
Thank you so much. Good morning. I just want to let you know that there are other people watching also on our Facebook page and Facebook groups. And I also have the questions. So we're going to be doing we're going to be running both sessions together. So I will try and take the questions that are coming through the Facebook page and groups, and then you can handle the questions coming through on Instagram. So
Okay, man.
All right. So good morning, everyone, and welcome to this special edition of HCP Hour, brought to you by Ask Pediatricians Foundation. So we are live on Fresh Waves Radio and Fresh Waves Radio Instagram page. We're also live on Ask the Pediatricians Facebook pages and our Facebook groups. So if you have any questions on Facebook, drop it on the video. And if you have any question on Instagram, you can also drop it. I'm not sure whether we have any question yet on Instagram.
No question
yet. Okay. And I think for Fresh Waves Radio, you can also send your questions to your WhatsApp number or something like that. So maybe you need to drop that. Do you want to tell them the number to send the questions to, so that
yes, it will be dropped in the comment section now.
Okay. All right, I'm talking about those who may be listening, those who are listening, maybe not watching on Fresh Waves Instagram. If they have questions, do they have any how to send the questions in as well? Okay. Anyway, so I think yeah, all right. Okay, so I think I have a question already here from Facebook, and I'm just going to read that. I think this question is coming from our apologies for that. Our Facebook group. The person said my daughter started putting her hands and even her clothes in her mouth. Okay, even when you take it out, she does it again. She wasn't doing this before now. Is there something wrong? And what can I do so she doesn't get germs into her system? The baby will be 3 months old on Saturday. The weight is 3 kilograms at birth and 5.4 at 10 weeks. Okay, all right. This is a very important question. But for a 3 month old baby who is putting clothes or hands in the mouth, it is completely normal part of the development. So at that age, we say that children are in what we call oral motor stage. In other words, anything they have, they just put it in their mouth. So it does not mean there's anything wrong with the children. It does not mean and also it's also possible that this child is already beginning to show you signs that she's about to start bringing out her teeth. And so when children are about to start teething, they start having all these itchy gums. So they tend to put everything in their mouth to kind of scratch their gums and all that. So I understand your concern about germs. So what we normally recommend is to give her something that she can use to do it safely. So there are a lot of teethers, or what we call teething toys or teething rings, something that you can wash. Most of them are soft, soft plastic, and you can wash them, you can sterilize them, you can put them in your sterilizer, or you can also put them in the fridge, because when it is cool and the children put this on their gums, it kind of suits the gums for them, and so they don't tend to have that crashing of the gums all the time. So that is what you need to do, but it's completely normal. So just give it, and at 3 months old, your baby should be able to hold those teeter or teething rings in their hands, so they can hold it, and then you can use it to scratch the gum. So, and you can always wash it at the end of the day. If it drops on the floor, you can wash it and then sterilize it again, and you can give it back to your child. So it is completely normal at that age, and it is nothing for you to worry about. All right. So I think we'll be doing shuttle between the one platform and the other. I'm not sure whether we have any question yet on Instagram. So when we do, just let me know, then we can come back to Instagram. But I think we still have a few on our Facebook. Yeah, everybody say they can hear me. Good morning, good morning. We have a lot of people watching. Good morning. Um, okay, the next question is from Comfort Samobalanle Yanoluwa. Okay, she says, good morning, ma'am. My baby is 1 month old, but breast milk always come out of the nose. I've tried all I could and it's still not working. Okay. So what this mom has described is what we call reflux. So for babies, the distance between their nose and their mouth and their stomach is really, really very short. So it's easy for milk, and you know what they're also taking is just milk, which is liquid. So you have a short distance between the mouth and the stomach. Number one. Number two, the food itself is liquid, so it can run both ways. And number three, most of the time the babies are actually always lying flat. You know, they are not yet sitting up at 1 month. So most of the time, and most of the time, mothers tend to quickly put the baby down. Immediately they finish eating, most of them are already sleeping, so you put them down. And then number four, there's supposed to be some gate mechanism that's supposed to uh, uh, kind of block food from going back from the stomach back towards the mouth area. But for babies, that gate mechanism is not yet developed. That is why you can eat on your head. You can actually turn your head down. People do that. If you watch some of these kind of circus shows, people can hit on the head and the food will not come back, because there's actually a gate mechanism that when the food has gone into your stomach, it won't come back again. But in babies, that mechanism is not yet well developed. The distance is short, the food is liquid, and then when you put the babies down, so it is so easy for the milk to just come back the other way around, and then it can come out through the mouth, it can come out through the nose. So that is what we call reflux. So it's very common in babies. So what we normally advise for mothers to avoid this is that immediately you finish feeding your babies, do not kind of put them flat straight away. You need to keep them straight, you know. So when you finish feeding baby, you should keep them upright for at least 15 minutes or 30 minutes, so that the milk would have had some time to settle in their tummy before you go and put them down. So the chances of it returning is a little bit reduced. It's not completely eliminated, but it's reduced. At least some digestion has started taking place. So you see that sometimes people will still bring out a little bit of it, but that is not thing to worry about. So, but it should not be coming out a lot through the mouth and through the nose and all that. No. So just keep the baby upright, try and bop them so that the gas can come out, and then don't just quickly put babies down straight away. Immediately they are finished sucking. You should keep them upright on your shoulder or something. And then after like 15-30 minutes, you can put them down. They may still have reflux, but it will not be as much. And the reflux is never going to disappear until the babies go back to solid food. So most time it will keep on going on. So as long as it's not making your baby to lose weight and it's not making the baby to choke or anything like that, we are not going to worry about it. We know that it's just a matter of time and it will stop. By the time your baby is about 1 year old, they are fully on solid diet, reflux is completely gone. But let me quickly say that some babies actually have what we call the bad reflux. Some babies' zones are so bad that even if you follow all these strategies I've given you, you know, keeping them upright, not putting them down straight away, blah, 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 they will still always have the milk coming back all the time, and some of them will be losing weight because almost everything is coming back and they're not able to gain weight. So for such babies, you need to see a pediatrician. There are other things we can do. We have some products, we call it milk thickener. So we have some things that we can add to the breast milk. It will thicken the milk so that the milk will stay down. It won't flow easily back. Number two, we have some medication we also give to kind of slow down that process of the milk coming back the other way around. So those are the things that we can do for very bad reflux. Okay. If it is a mild one, you don't need to come and see the pediatrician, because what I've just told you is what we're going to tell you. But if it is bad one and your baby is losing weight, then that baby it's not just having what we call the mild reflux. This baby is having what we call a reflux disorder. And for reflux disorder, we have to treat that, and we have medications, we have other strategies for treating a child who has a reflux disorder. So I hope that is helpful. Yeah. Do we have any question on Instagram? I think I saw one question pop in on Instagram. Did you say?
just comment.
Oh, it's a comment. Okay, I thought it's a question. Okay, so I think I'll just go on with the Facebook one. Okay, so somebody's Doris or Doris, let me just give your first name, is asking, my 8-year-old daughter is getting dark by the day. What can I do? Okay, so this question is a little bit kind of ambiguous. So when you say your 8-year-old is getting dark, what is her normal skin color? So if she's going to be dark, if her skin color is black or brown, I don't know how you want to call it, she's going to be dark anyway. So it has nothing to do with anything you are doing. And I always just want mothers to be comfortable with your babies having black skin. There's actually absolutely nothing wrong. I know some of us have this culture of, we believe that fair is better or is more beautiful, but black is beautiful as well. So there's nothing, absolutely nothing wrong with a baby having black skin or a baby getting black or anything. But if you think your baby is supposed to be fair, or your baby was fair and your baby is now black, and you're worried about that, then we can have a conversation around that. But let me quickly start by saying that we have a lot of people these days, babies, when babies are born, most of them look fair, okay? And mothers always wrongly assume that means that the baby is going to be fair. And then when babies start turning black, then they begin to get worried. No, most babies are born fair. Even babies that are going to be black skin, they will look fair when they are born, because they've been inside a kind of enclosure. And what makes us to have black skin is what we call them melanin. There's a skin pigment. So when babies are in the womb and all that, they don't really have it, functioning at that point. So most babies come out of the womb looking like a Caucasian baby, or looking like, white. But of course, I know some babies are born really already looking so black, but most babies actually don't look very black when they are born. But as they get bigger and older, exposed to the sun, their real skin color, which is the black skin, will manifest. So I do wonder sometimes, baby, you have a mother who is black skin, you have a daddy who is black skin, but they are suddenly interested in having a fair skin baby. And this is why some mothers think they have to maintain that light skin color that the babies have when they were born. And then you see mothers going to use all these creams that are medications, that are steroids, and they start using it on their baby's skin, mixing it with their baby's cream to make sure the babies look light or bright, fair in complexion all the time. These are very dangerous practices that I've addressed several times. I think we have an article on our website about, please do not mix all these products into your baby's skin. So mothers go buy things like Skinil, they buy from Brand A. These are medications. These are products that are supposed to be used by a doctor's prescription for a short period of time. So usually maybe 1 week or 2 weeks, and that is it. We use it to treat whatever condition we're treating, and we stop. But you see mothers using it like every day. Steroids is not good for for anybody anyway. It can cause the children to be short because it gets absorbed into their body system. It can cause ulcer. It can cause so many complications. You just go and Google the side effects of steroids. But you see people using it on their baby skins all the time, just because they feel that the baby should be fair skin or light skin. It's a very dangerous product. So baby skin's color are determined genetically. So if a baby is going to be black, that baby already inherited black skin. If a baby is going to be fair, that baby is already inherited. So if you are black in your family, everybody is black. Your baby is not going to be fair because you are black. So if you are fair, your baby will be fair. And it has nothing to do with any maintenance. It has nothing to do with whether you are using a particular cream or a particular soap or not. If you have to use a particular soap or product to maintain your baby's fairness, it means your baby is not really fair. You are the one trying to make baby fair by using all those products, which is dangerous. So I always say, parents, please don't force all these things on babies. Be confident and be comfortable in whatever skin color your baby has. If your baby is black skin, fine. Your baby is light skinned, fine. Just be confident in that skin color, and you don't need to maintain it. It's not a maintenance anything. It's just a fair person, whether they use only soap to bath or they use only Vaseline, they will always be fair. And a dark skin person, whether they are no matter what they do, they will always be dark. So it is a genetic thing, and we should get away from all these babies are fair, we must maintain that fairness. No, babies are born fair, but most of them are not genetically going to be fair. And within a few months, they will assume their natural skin color no matter what you do. And don't force them to be honest or naturally fair by using dangerous chemicals on their skin. So that's just what I'm going to say about that question. The reason why I have to explain it that because I get that question a lot, because parents always feel like the baby should always remain fair like they were born. No, they won't. They won't. They will assume their natural skin color as they get older. And please do not use dangerous chemicals on them to keep them unnaturally fair. It's not the best. All right.
Okay, thank you very much, Ma. We have a question here.
Finally.
Hi, good morning. Please, what are the signs you can notice in your baby to know if he or she is on the spectrum?
Okay, on the autism spectrum. Okay. I hope that's what the person meant, but that I assume that's because when people say spectrum, we tend to use it for autism spectrum disorder. Okay, so autism spectrum disorder is what we call a neurodevelopmental condition in which children struggles with social communication, social interaction, and then they have some behaviors that are repetitive or restricted. Don't worry, I'll break down all those big grammars. So basically, a child on the autism spectrum, they struggle with making friends, social cues, like interacting with people, the way we all assume people should be interacted. So they may struggle with making friends. They may want to be on their own. They don't want to interact with other children. They don't want to play. They are comfortable be on their own and all that. It's a spectrum. In other words, it's not every child is not going to be exactly, you cannot, if you see one child with autism, you see one child with autism, you cannot say everybody will be like that. So but there will always be some aspects of that social interaction difficulties for such children. So depending on the age of the child, the way to manifest in a 1-year-old or a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old or even an adolescent or an adult is going to be slightly different. But the issue is that they have this difficulty with social interaction or communication, and then they always have the repetitive or behavior. So these children, they may want to do some things over and over again. Some will be spinning in circle, some will be rocking back and forth. Some of them have what we call sensory issues. They don't want to touch certain things, or they don't want to eat certain food. They only eat certain food. Or some of them just want to they don't like loud noises and all those kind of things. And some of the children also have, they are very particular about certain things. Maybe they want to wear only one particular clothes all the time, or they must do certain rituals. Like maybe they come into the house, they must maybe give a mom a hug 3 times. It always has to be 3 times. Or when they're going the staircase, they must count it. So they have different kind of ritualistic behavior like that. So if a child is having social interaction difficulties and also having repetitive behavior, then we worry about autism spectrum disorder. And such children need to have an assessment done by a developmental pediatrician and speech therapist to have a diagnosis. So depending on the age of the child, so there are like what we call signs or red flags that you should be looking out for. Something like children not responding to their name. I'm not sure whether the person mentioned the age of this child that she's concerned about. No, there's no age. It should be easier if you tell us that. So, for example, most of those children, sometimes they have speech delay, so they are not yet talking when they're supposed to be talking, and they don't use the difference between them and those who are deaf is that when somebody is deaf and they're not talking, then they use what we call non-verbal communication. They use their hands and other ways of, getting you to know what they want. But children on the spectrum, they don't compensate with non-verbal form of communication. So they may not point, they may not wave goodbye, they won't use other non-verbal communications. You call their name, they will not respond, but they are not deaf. They hear you, but they just don't want to respond or report that. So those are some of those traits that you will say. But I just want to quickly say that not one of these things means a child is on the spectrum. So the fact that the child doesn't give eye contact, or the child is not pointing, or the child is not talking, or the child is very obsessed with certain programs or certain events and all that, does not necessarily mean that child is on the autism spectrum, because there are so many things, there are so many people that can actually have one or two of those things, and it's just part of normal human variation. But it is when you have so many of those traits together in one child that we will now think, yes, this is likely autism, and we have to do a proper assessment. We have to look at the diagnostic criteria. We have to see that the child is taking all those diagnostic criteria. They also struggle with emotions. They don't know how to respond to people's emotions or even express their own emotions. So somebody may be crying and somebody on the autism spectrum will just laugh because they may not be able to interpret that means that person is sad, that kind of situation. So those are the features we see on children who are on the autism spectrum. So if you worry, there are some screening. If your child is between age of 16 months and 31 months, you can go online and do what we call the modified checklist for autism spectrum in toddlers. It's MCHAT. It's free. You can answer a few questions, about 20 of them, and depending on how much it's a true or false, it's a yes or a no kind of a thing. You don't have to, it is not neither right or wrong, but it gives us whether we should worry about your child being on the spectrum or not. So if your child is scoring above 3 to 7 or 8 and above, then it tells us that, okay, if it's 3 to 7, it's moderate, and then that means we need to screen the child again. We do a follow-up screen. If it's 8 and above, that is already high. It means that child needs to have an autism assessment. It's a screening tool. It's available online for the public, but that helps us to know if the child needs assessment. But if you worry yourself as a parent, you're concerned, you can always see a pediatrician, and then they can refer you to the developmental pediatrician for the autism assessment proper. I hope that's helpful. All right.
That's very
okay. I think I'll just continue with those on Facebook, unless we have any other questions still. Okay. The next question, AK Neoma say, does umbilical hernia have anything to do with constant breaking of wind by the child? When does the farting resolve? Baby will be 3 months old in a week. Umbilical hernia has nothing to do with winds or because the child is bringing out gas and all that because they swallow it. So when children are sucking, when they are crying, they are swallowing lots of hair. And when they swallow the hair, they have to bring back the hair. So there's nothing wrong in that. And it has nothing to do with umbilical hernia. That is number one. And there's nothing wrong with babies farting. There's nothing wrong. It's the same thing like you also do. So it's not a problem. It's not a disease. It's not an anomaly. Okay. So your baby farting is not going to resolve because farting is a natural thing we do. It's normal, and there's nothing absolutely wrong with it. I guess maybe I don't know whether you're feeling embarrassed that the baby is making a lot of noise or it's a smell, but it's absolutely normal for babies to do that, and you don't really have to worry. Okay, for first-time mothers, we have a lot of first-time moms products on HCP. You can just ask us for that. We have FTM Companion, frequently asbestos, because sometimes first-time moms don't know what is normal, what is not normal. So everything is worries them, and that is why we have to create that product, FTM Companion. But there's absolutely nothing wrong with your baby farting at all, and it's normal. I'll be more worried if the baby is not farting, okay, because that would tell me that the baby is having something of obstruction or something. But if the baby is farting, that means the intestines are working well. So we are happy with that, okay. And what you just need to do if your baby is bringing out so much gas is the fact that you need to reduce how much of hair the baby is taking in. And so don't allow your baby to cry and cry before you take them. Make sure make sure you are responsive to the what we call the feeding cue. So once baby is showing you sign they want to eat, feed them. Don't wait until they cry, because all those crying, they are just gulping in hair. They are gulping in hair, and those hair they have to come out either through them breaking it up, that is the bop one, or they pass it out through the lower part, which is the fatty one, but the gas just have to come out one way or the other. So that's just reduce how much hair. You can't eliminate it, but try and reduce how much of air the baby swallow. Those of you that also use bottle to feed your baby, sometimes the baby take a lot of air because all those are empty spaces in your bottle. It's not empty. There's hair, there's gas there. And when your baby is sucking the milk and the bottle, they're also taking hair with it as well. So they have to pass it out as well. So that's what I'm going to say about that. All right.
Okay. There's another question on IGN saying that is it right to follow a sleep schedule for your baby? Is it right to also wake up baby up so that he or she can follow that schedule?
Okay, thank you, girl from Nigeria. Okay, so number one, when you have questions, it's always good to always put age, because since varies for pediatricians, we deal with a age that are so diverse. So we're dealing with people from 0 day of life to 1 day of life to the 18 years. So it's a huge range. So number one, you can't make your baby follow any schedule. Newborn babies are not going to follow your schedule. So they're not going to sleep when you want them to sleep, and they're not going to wake up when you want them to wake up. I'm sure that every mother will like that, for them to be able to say, okay, my newborn baby, it's time to go to bed now. Go to bed. No, they're not going to follow that schedule. Just forget it. Okay. So usually newborn babies follow their own schedule, and they tend to sleep during the day and be awake at night, and it drives mothers crazy because you want to sleep at night and be awake during the day, but the baby is not going to follow that schedule. So what I normally tell new moms or first-time moms is follow your baby's schedule in the first month of life. So when your baby is sleeping, go and sleep. It doesn't matter whether it's 2 a.m. or 3 p.m. in the afternoon, go and sleep, because your babies are going to they will need you when you want to sleep. I remember when I had my first baby, and I was awake in the night a lot, and the first thing that came to my mind was like, God, am I never going to sleep again? I was so worried, because that's when people want to suck. And my mom was telling me, well, that is what it means to be a mother. That is motherhood. She call it abiyamo. That's what it means to be an abiyamo, to be a mother, because you can't sleep when you want to sleep. So you are, and it's difficult. So I was following her advice. So I sleep in the daytime when my baby is sleeping, and I'm awake when my baby is awake. You have to endure that for the first few months of life. But luckily, it's not going to be like that forever. So let me reassure you, it's going to come to an end. So after a while, the baby will switch back. So they will now start following your own schedule, which means that they tend to sleep more at night, and then they can be more. So from 3 months, they are more awake and they are more active during the day, and also the number of hours sleep begin to reduce. So usually when babies are born, they can sleep for 20 hours. A lot of first-time moms will always ask me, like, they are worried whether the baby is still alive because the baby is sleeping for 20 sleeping. And I'm always asking them, do you have any work for the baby to do that you are worried whether the baby is sleeping? So babies usually will sleep a lot more. They can sleep for 20 hours in the first month of life. And so all they do is they suck and they sleep. They suck and they sleep. They don't have any work to do for you. So and then the time at which they would decide to be awake, maybe at 2 a.m. or at 4 a.m. when you want to sleep, doesn't matter. You have to adjust. But from 3 months, they begin to stay more awake, and the number of hours reduce, and they stay more awake at daytime, and then they begin to sleep at night. So then that is better. And then they also still have naps in between. But once they're about like 1 or 2, that is when you can actually begin to have like what we call a sleep routine or a sleep hygiene routine. So you can now decide to start getting the babies to fall asleep. Like you have a sleep time, you have a timetable, like, okay, 7 p.m., 7 p.m. we begin our sleep routine, and by 8, they are in bed and sleeping. And usually by that time they can sleep 12 hours at a go, so they can sleep all through the night. Some of them will still wake up for a drink or something, but we really want to by 2 to have stopped all the night feedings and all that. We want them to sleep through the night. So that is when you can now start following a schedule. So usually from around 1 to 2 years old. But before then, you still have to adjust a little bit. But from age of 2, you can have a bedtime routine. So the children, you kind of help them to understand you have to do things to get them ready for bed. Maybe you have a bath, you have a bedtime story, things that kind of calm them down, That's not the time to put on the TV. That's not the time to put on devices. You're going to increase the energy and they want to be awake. But usually from that, if you start doing things that kind of calm them down, bath, bedtime story, quiet, maybe your night devotion and all that, and then they go to bed. Of course, some children have their own sleep problems, so they will not follow all those schedule, but those are the ones that need more help. But most children, you can follow that schedule from age of 1 or 2 and get them to bed.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
All right. Okay, so I think I'll just go back to Facebook. I have lots of questions there.
Yes.
Somebody saying my daughter of 4 months starts sucking her mouth. What should I do to stop her? Okay, so babies do have a lot of habits. Some of them suck their fingers, some of them suck their mouth. Some of those habits, they develop it as a form of self-comforting habits, especially when mothers don't respond to their cues. Your babies cry a lot and nobody is responding to them, then they tend to develop a way of comforting themselves as well. So sometimes it is just randomly the finger gets into their mouth and they just suck on it and it calms them down. Then they realize, oh, I like that. Then they keep on doing it. So it becomes an habit. So it's a little bit difficult to stop when it starts. Actually, for like sucking the mouth and all that, most times it's very difficult to start because for the child it's a comforting habit. But the good news is that most of the children will stop those habits by themselves. So for the 4-month-old, it's difficult to reason with them or get them. You can't get them to stop anything. But once they are older, you can start using like 1 year, 2 years, you can start using praise and rewards. You can try to tell them, like the finger thing. You can give them things to do with their hands so they don't have to suck their fingers and all that. But most of them just outgrow some of these habits on their own, and there's really nothing much you can do about it. But make sure that you have other ways of comforting the children. Don't allow them to resolve to self-comfort, because most of those habits are mostly kind of a self-comforting habits. All right, I hope that's helpful. Then the next person, Atai Josephine, say my 9-month-old took a 9-month immunization. Weight is 2.7, 7.3, 8.1 at 9 months. Is it possible maybe just gain only 800 grams between 6 and 9 months? It is possible already. That is what the scale is telling you. I think the weight is too small, or could something be wrong with the scale? Both of them are possible. So so this is a mom whose baby didn't gain so much weight and you're worried. So it is possible your baby didn't really gain weight. It's also possible that there's a scale error. Both of them could actually be right. So what I would normally do is to recheck the weight first. If you think the scale is wrong, then you recheck again, and then or check it somewhere else again and compare. That is number one. But I think most pediatricians, we will not worry at this stage. We will wait until the next visit, maybe when your baby is 10 months, and recheck the weight again. And if the weight is still low, then we can talk about that. But let me just quickly also have that the rate of weight gain reduces as the baby gets older. So for example, from age of 0, from birth to 1 year, baby gains about 7 kilos. Within 1 year, they will gain 7 kilos. So that's the most rapid of the period of growth. But from 1 year to 2 years, they're only going to gain 2 kilos. So as they get older, the rate at which they gain weight begin to slow down. So some mothers always want babies to always be gaining weight. No. 8.8 kilos at 9 months, I'm not so worried. Actually, I want it to be around 9 kg, but 8 kg is still not so bad. So the most important thing is to make sure that you're feeding your baby well as well. So this is the age where you're supposed to be doing complementary feeding and all that. So we're not so worried so much, but you can recheck it when your baby is 10 months old and see whether there's a gain. But bear in mind that the rate of weight gain is going to be reducing as your baby gets older. So there's really nothing to worry about. Just make sure you are feeding the baby well. All right. Okay. Thank you so much. Somebody is thanking us for answering our question. I'll continue with Facebook. Mimi is saying, my baby woke up with fever, expected to go by the end of the day, but it got high at night. Digital thermometer was 38. I cleaned him with a wet towel, gave him paracetamol, but it's still feverish. Temperature is about 7.7. What do I do, please? So if your baby is running fever for more than 24 hours, you've given paracetamol and the fever is not going, you have to go to the hospital. Mimi, you have to go to the hospital. We need to know what is causing the fever. So fever is a symptom, it's a sign that something is going on. And so it could be malaria, it could be an infection. There are so many things that can cause fever. So all our paracetamol and all those is just reducing the fever, but it is not treating the cause of the fever. So to treat the cause of the fever, you have to take the baby to the hospital, and then that is where the doctors will take over. We will do our tests, we will examine the child, and they will know what is the cause of the fever, and we can treat it. So that is what I'm going to recommend, Mimi. So I'm happy that you know what to do with fever. That is good. But since the fever is not going down, then it's time to go to the hospital now. All right. Rotimi Adiola say, good morning, Dr. Pimisola. My daughter of 8 years is already showing signs of adolescent. She's already growing breasts here in pubic area and armpit area. Yes, that is normal. Okay. I think they are asking this question because you seem to be shocked or surprised that your 8-year-old is already showing signs of puberty. But it is okay. For girls, 8 years is actually normal age for them to start showing sign of puberty, because the age actually is reducing every year. I remember when I was growing up, people used to think 12, 13 is when you start showing signs of puberty and all that, but now it's actually going lower every year. I don't know whether it's what we're eating and all the development and all that, but actually 8 years old is acceptable age for a girl to start showing signs of puberty. So it's nothing to worry about. You don't need to panic. Okay, so we have an article on our website on information for parents about what you need to know about puberty and how you address it. So I think the most important is for you to know it's normal, so you not to panic, and for you to not start having that conversation with your daughter, about hygiene around that period. Very soon a period may start. How does she handle herself? And those are the kind of conversation. Sexuality education, if you have not been having it, this is time to also kind of reinforce it the more. So that's what you really need to do, but you don't need to worry at all. All right. It's very, some children have it a little bit earlier than other children, but even from 8, we accept that as still normal. All right. Linda is saying, good morning, Doc. My 8-month-old birth weight is 3, current weight is 8.9. His family food breastfeed very well. That is fine. Does not accept infant cereal and formula. Okay. My question, my mom said he needs more milk than breast milk. Is blah, blah, blah. Okay. Your mom is not correct. Okay. Your baby can get enough milk from breast milk. So this baby is doing well. All right. I don't know, for those of you who follow who follow us on ATP Live on Monday, this is actually what I said. You don't ever have to buy a can of infant milk, infant cereal, whatever they sell in the shops. You don't ever have to buy any of those products. Okay. Parents just worry so much about babies not taking them, and thinking that if your baby have not taken them, it's as if it's a rite of passage, there's something wrong. There's actually nothing wrong. Okay. Your breast milk and your food in your kitchen is all your baby needs. So you don't ever have to buy anything from the shops. So your baby, if you're lactating well, your baby can still take up to 1 liter of milk from you every day. That is more than enough for a baby. And that is more than enough to meet all the milk needs that baby needs. So mostly milk is supposed to supply our calcium, it's supposed to supply some of those things. The reason why we actually want you to breastfeed is not just about the milk per se, is because there are other things in breast milk that protects your baby against infection. So we have the antibodies, we have all the what we call the protective agents, your T cells. There are so many things in breast milk that are protective against infection. Most of the other things that milk is supplying, like protein, like calcium and all that, your baby can get it from other food as well. So I'm sure your baby is eating other food, baby will still get some of them, but there are many other things that you cannot get from other products apart from breast milk. So that's why we want you to breastfeed your baby. So as long as you're breastfeeding, it is enough. So you don't need to give infant formula if you are breastfeeding. Well, what normally happens is that most mothers, consciously or unconsciously, start to reduce their breastfeeding when the baby starts to eat other food. So, so you don't tend to breastfeed any as often as you were doing before because you think my baby is not eating other food. Let me also rest. No, we don't expect you to reduce the breastfeeding rates. We expect you to actually keep breastfeeding as much as you were doing before, but you are only adding the other food now from 6 months. So as long as you didn't reduce your breastfeeding and you are breastfeeding as much as you can, then you don't ever need to buy anything from the stores when it comes to milk. Seriously. And from age of 1 year, your baby can take the normal family milk, the same milk that you take, they can take it from the age of 1 year. That's the cow milk. But before that 1 year, your breast milk is more and more than enough. And if you're breastfeeding up to 2 years and beyond, you don't need to. So don't need to worry, Linda. I hope that is reassuring you. All right, Odegule say, I like your smile. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for your kind words. All right, the next question. Somebody say, oh, babies change faces and pick a particular face. Okay. Look like a particular person. I think all those are subjective. So parents will say, oh, babies look like the mom, they look like the dad. It's look. Anyway, that is not a medical question. So, but I think it's all your perception, what you think, and what is that. There's something wrong with that. Okay. Okay, so AK is back. Say, doctor, I forgot to add my baby of 3 months is always tattooed, even in his sleep. Okay, sometimes baby do that. Like, I really, usually from parents, I always like to see what you're saying. So I would rather like a video of this tattoo because sometimes parents describe some things in words that may not necessarily be how we would look at it. So somebody says tattoo, it may be having a seizure, for example, it may be different. So if you are not sure what this tattoo means, I always say, parents, just do a video recording of that thing and show a doctor, or you can post on our Facebook group if you don't mind, and then we can look at it and say, okay, this is normal, it's nothing to worry about, or this is something else. So I'm always very careful of movement description so that I don't give the wrong advice. I'll be more comfortable if I see what you're saying, then I can decide whether it's something to worry about or not. But most time babies do all sorts of movement in their sleep. Most of them is normal because sometimes babies relieve what they've done during the day. They relieve it when they're sleeping. So they go through a stage what we call rapid eye movement sleep. So that's the stage where they dream. And what they dream most of is what they've done during the day. So if your baby has cried a lot during the day, so sometimes you see them in the night when they're sleeping, they will be crying in their sleep. So they are reliving that experience. So sometimes all those movements or crying or not, there's nothing really wrong. There's nothing to worry about. It's not like they're having demonic attack or anything, just reliving what has happened during the day. But if you are not sure, because some people also have convulsions in their sleep, so we really need to be sure it's not that one. So it's better you show us, and then we can take it from there. All right. I hope that is helpful. Bodude say good morning, man. God bless you. God bless you too. Bodude say, at what age does children start teething, and what are the signs to look out for? And that can one be of help to them. Okay, this is like 3-barrel question, but I've actually done an ATP hour on teething, and we actually have it on our Facebook page and our YouTube channels everywhere. It's on the podcast as well. So for babies, they start to show signs of teething even from as early as 3 months, but the teeth usually come up between 5 to 7 months. Now, when I say these things, I always let parents know that these are what we call average time. Okay, so it's averagely. So in other words, 50% of babies will do this, but some babies will not follow that timetable. Some babies may not bring out their teeth until 1 year. So that's why I don't want the mothers whose babies have not brought out teeth at 5 or 7 months to start panicking, because we know that some will not do it until 1 year. So when we say averagely 5 to 7 months, it means 50% of babies. Some babies will do it a little bit earlier, some babies will do it a little bit much later. But we will only start to worry by 1 year, 13 months if your baby does not have any teeth. And that is when the dentist actually wants you to come and see them anyway. So teething around 5 to 7 months. What are the signs? There may be no sign. You just wake up one morning and you find all the teeth in the mouth. So, but some babies, other babies give you signs like they start bringing out more saliva. They will be rubbing the gum a lot, or they may be a little bit fussy, especially when the teeth is about to shoot out. Otherwise, there is nothing much of other signs. Please, all those fever, diarrhea, cough, all those rashes, they are not signs of teething. I think I need to repeat that because a lot of people believe that those are signs of teething. They are not. Those are children who are sick, and those are children that needs to see a pediatrician or a doctor. So teething itself does not make a child sick. Teething is a normal development. So your children may be drooling saliva, they may be rubbing their gum, they may be a little bit fussy, they may be biting you or biting on the breast, those are just few signs that you will see. And then one day you just wake up and you see the teeth. And some children don't even have any sign. You just wake up and you find the teeth in the mouth. So there's nothing for you to do. Please do not give them teething powder. Anytime I have the chance to say, I always say that. Please do not give them teething powder, teething mixture, teething whatever. So teething is normal. It's not a sickness. It does not require medication. It does not require anything. Okay? If your child is sick, please do not assume the child is teething. That child needs to see a doctor because in my experience, one of the commonest reason why parents come late to the hospital is because they assume the child who is sick is actually teething and they give teething mixture and then they relax. And then they come to us when the child is almost gone. So we always want you to know that it is not teething. Everything is not teething. In fact, I always say, mother, just don't make any diagnosis of teething at all. Just throw it out of your of your vocabulary. And there's really nothing for you to do. But if the child is rubbing their gums so much and putting everything in their mouth, you can give them teethers, like soft toys that you can wash and you can sterilize. They can bite on that instead of biting on your breast or biting on other people or rubbing their gums on dirty stuff. So they can use the teacher because you can wash it, you can sterilize it. If the children have mild fever, you can give paracetamol, but usually teething itself does not cause fever. It can cause a mild raise in temperature, but it does not reach what we call a fever level. You shouldn't be getting like 38 or 39. Although if you get into that, you really need to take that child to the hospital. So, but today, how that's helpful? Anything on Instagram yet? Not yet. Okay. And then you can say, "Good morning, well done, dog. What's the correlation between a mother eats and how hard a baby spoon looks?" Like I've always been hearing this and that if you take bread, your baby's spoon will be difficult to pass out. Actually, that is not true. Your baby is not eating the bread, okay? When you eat bread, it is digested, and it is the digested part that is passed into the breast milk and all that. So the baby doesn't have constipation because you ate bread and all that. That is not true. Now, but there's still a wisdom in that question because there are some things you can actually eat that can be passed to your baby via breast milk, and we worry about things like drugs. So if you take some drugs, it can get into your breast milk, and that is why pregnant mothers, breastfeeding mothers, you should never use medication without asking your doctors. It's very important, and you should always read the leaflets, and every drug leaflet will have a section for pregnancy and breastfeeding mothers, and they will tell you clearly you can use it or you cannot use it, or you have to ask your doctor first. So you must always do that. Some of us don't think, because we live in a culture where we do a lot of self-medication, and some of us don't know how dangerous these things can be. So that everything you take can get to your baby. Drugs is very important. So please don't use any drugs if a doctor has not cleared it to say you can use it though you are breastfeeding. That's number one. Then there are some flavors. There are some flavors as well that when we eat, they kind of go. Some people like to add garlic, ginger, all those kind of things to their food. Some of those things can actually get through the breast milk as well. And it can make some baby fussy, and some babies are actually allergic to them as well. So if you eat something and you notice that your baby is a little bit more fussy and all that, then you may want to check what you're eating and all that. But it is not like eating bread and you'll be get constipated. No. Then let me just quickly say what's constipation. So a lot of mothers assume that when babies on breastfeeding don't pass stools for days or even weeks, then that means they are constipated. That is not constipation for newborn babies, okay? Newborn babies don't have to pass stools every day. They may not even pass through for 1 week, even up to 2 weeks. But you will notice that whenever they pass their stool, even with all the drama and all the grunting and everything, the stools are actually soft and not hard. Okay, so that is not constipation. So for constipation to happen, the stools must be hard. Okay, it must be hard and it must not be passed frequently. In other words, it takes so much effort and you will not pass stools every day. Then the stools, when they come out, they are hard and come out, like pellets and all that. So that is constipation. But for newborn babies or babies on breast milk, for the first 6 months, they don't pass their stool every day. They tend to kind of, some of them pass it every day. And okay, let me just put it this way. You can go from, it's a very wide range of what can happen. You can go from a baby who pass through every time they even suck. Once they suck, they will pass through. That is one category of babies on breast milk. So the other extreme of babies who may not pass through for 2 weeks. Okay, but whenever they eventually pass their stool, it will be soft. It will be it will be thick and like pasty, but it won't be hard. So that is it. That is the difference, and that in our own um, uh, textbook is not constipation at all. So I hope that is helpful. So if you want to eat bread, but you are the one that will get constipated. So what I would encourage you to take a lot of fruits, take a lot of vegetables, take a lot of water for yourself, not for the baby, for yourself, and you'll be fine. All right. Okay. I think I've answered Adinka's question. I think our time is running. Oh, our time is up. Our time is up. Um, okay, we can take all the questions that are on yet. Okay.
So,
I don't know what happened to my Facebook. It kind of went off. But let me refresh that. Just on Facebook, just hold on. We can just run it up in another 5 minutes. I'll try and be fast. Okay, thank you. So the next question is if first because I said my baby is 2 months old, 14 days old. Okay, 2.5 months. It brought out me from the nose and the ears. Okay, I think I've answered this question. I guess you are just coming late. So that is reflux. It is nothing to worry about, but try and keep your baby upright for 15 to 30 minutes after feeding so that your baby does not, bring back the milk. And if it's really going on, then you have to see a pediatrician. Okay. Thank you. Rotimi is saying thank you. Thank you. Rosemary say thank you. Okay, good. We just have a lot of comments. I'll just skip through that. Thank you. Somebody say Rosemary say my son of 6-year-old weighs 12 kilos. That is really, really low. Okay, 12 kilos is the weight of a 2-year-old. Okay, 2-year-old is who weighs 12 kilos. So if your 6-year-old is weighing 12 kilos, I am very worried. Okay, that baby is underweight, and that baby needs to see a pediatrician immediately. So, Rosemary, I want you to. I'm not. Well, we need to see your child. Number one, it may not necessarily be food, but it may be food. But sometimes it may also be a sign that the child has some other illness that is not allowing baby to gain weight well. But so I'm giving you an idea, a picture. So a 12 kg is the weight of a 2-year-old. So if a 6-year-old is weighing that, I am very worried. 6-year-old should weigh like 20 kilos. So you really need to see a pediatrician. I don't know whether you've seen one, but you should see one. Okay, but today I'm happy you are happy. Somebody said when starting community feeding at 6 months, what should we start? How should we go about it? So, but today we have a whole we have a whole guide section on complementary feeding. So if you just go to our Facebook group, and if you go to the menu section, you'll see guides. When you click on guides, the very first guide is on breastfeeding. The second guide is on complementary feeding. We have like 5 or 6 videos which you can watch on everything you need to know about complementary feeding. We have an article there as well, so I will recommend you go through that. Or you may want to backtrack to our past ATP Live on the page or on YouTube and check for the one on complementary feeding, because it's 1 hour kind of question. So it's best you take that up. It's better you go through the guide training or you go through our past videos so that you have enough time to understand everything. If we start that now, that's another 1 hour on the program and our time is up already. Final question. Somebody say, okay, no, second to last. Somebody say, at what age does a girl child start having vaginal discharge? Vaginal discharge is not normal, so a girl child should not have vaginal discharge. Okay, so let me just clarify. By newborn babies can have discharge from the vagina, usually whitish, and it's usually from the effect of the mother's hormone on them, and you don't need to do anything about it, just clean it and that's it. But any after that newborn period, any baby having vaginal discharge is not normal. You need to take that baby to the hospital. The commonest reason why girls have vaginal discharge is because of the pants, so hygiene. So the mothers, we tend to overestimate what the girls can do. Most 3 years old cannot really wipe themselves properly. So even though they are toilet trained, you still need to have them with wiping, and then you need to teach them how to wipe properly. So they need to wipe from the front to the back. Okay, so when they poo, or they should not wipe their poo from the back to the front, because when you do that, they introduce the fecal materials to the vaginal area, and that will cause irritation, vaginitis, vaginal discharge. That is the commonest reason. It's not sexual abuse. Most parents always panic, maybe the child is being sexually abused. It's not. And there's some of them, hygiene is also important. They need to change their pants every day. You assume they do it, they don't always do it. And you also need to make sure that you use cotton pants, not silk or nylon and all those things, because the cotton can breathe. It can allow some hair to come through that area and out, but the other ones don't. So the chance for the child to have irritation, infection is high. So those are the things you need to check for first. So, but if the child is already having to start, you need to see us, you need to see a pediatrician so we can treat, but you need to prevent it. So I really quickly run through those prevention. Cotton pants, clean from the front to the back, not the other way around. They must clean properly. Some people actually need to use water, but I know sometimes you are outside, you use tissue, but they really need to make sure they do it properly. And sometimes we need to still supervise them until they are very well on their way. But if a child is also having chronic vaginal discharge, it could also be a sign to us that that child is being sexually abused. So we take it seriously as well. We need to check, we need to ask questions, we need to do the right thing so that it doesn't happen. But I don't want you to panic about it. Okay, Rosemary says she will see a pediatrician. Thank you. All right, I think we've come to the end of the program. I hope there's no more questions on Instagram. I know. Okay. So it's been a pleasure to be here for the last 1 hour answering questions. I think we'll try and do this more often. I know I do a lot of more of teachings, but once in a while, maybe once in a month or every 2 months, we'll come for a live session where we just take question and answers on all the previous programs, and any question that may have come in, feel free to send your questions in. We will have one live session where we can always take your questions. Thank you so much.
We are grateful to have you, and we are glad you were able to do this. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And thank you for all our listeners. Thank you for joining, and thank you for sending in your questions. We hope to see you some other time. HPR is always live on www.freshroadsradio.com every Thursday, the same time, 10 a.m. Nigerian time. So thank you very much. So thank you, Dr. Bunsola. We are grateful.
Yeah.
You have a lovely.
Thank you. Bye. Bye, everyone from Facebook. See you. Take care. Bye.